Demon Girl, Chapter 5. It was Thursday now of the next week. Everyone was starting to get suspicious of Clinton and Carl. Almost a full week of a confirmed demon running around in a school. Although there was no drama, no fighting, and I was anything but confrontational towards them. People were calling them liars, laughing at them when they looked at me with such fear. Although, as the days passed, Clinton's fear only turned into anger as they started taking him as a joke. I didn't want people treating him like that, and he deserved it, but I felt I deserved it as well. I did attack them. I hurt them. He looked at me like I had just made a joke out of him when both of us knew he was telling the truth. I shake my head as Star pulls me along through the halls, waving at a friend she made just a day ago in the art club with Ira's help now that she joined us. "Come on, Emma! Even they are going outside for lunch today. You've been stuck inside every lunch break for a week now. I don't want to stay inside today." She whined with a soft smile on her face as she pulled me towards the door. It wasn't much of pulling me along, as I happily followed her, but once we got to the door and she opened it, it just didn't seem welcoming. I ignored it, moving my shaking hand over the door handle and smiling at both her and Ira as they passed in front of me. "Come on, we can teach Ira the game. The clouds are nice and fast today, so it would work really well." "What game?" Ira says as the door closes behind us. I motion to Star to let her explain as I start digging out one of my snacks. My stomach growled in protest of my slow movements to find a snack. "Okay, so when the wind is nice and strong, but it's sunny and cloudy out like this, you can watch as the shadows from the clouds move really quickly across the field." Ira nods, and I finally find the apple that was stuck at the bottom. I start munching on it as I follow them to the hill. It starts as a normal game of tag, but the person who's it can move in the shadows, and the people who aren't it are frozen in them. Depending on the clouds, the first part can be changed. But if you're tagged, you're it. Ira smiled wide as Star continued explaining the basic principles of tag, and I just kept behind them, walking slowly and listening to them talk. "We should eat something before we all waste our time playing tag, though," I say softly, glaring playfully at Star, who had just put her bag down and was about to bolt off beside Ira. "Aw, you're right," she said, quickly sitting down. "But I'm just so excited! With more than 2 people, it's so much easier to play!" I laugh and shake my head, sitting between Ira and Star. "We can all eat our sugary stuff first, and then play. We'll be super fast," Ira says, rummaging through her bag. I continue just to quietly munch on my food as I watch them scarf down whatever they had and then look at me. All right, let's go," I say, gently putting down the core of my apple and standing up. Both of them quickly bolt upright and run off. "Not it!" I yell, smiling as they look at each other and do rock, paper, scissors. I kept my distance for the most part, knowing they'd probably just start chasing after each other instead once the other person won the rock, paper, scissors. I just watched the clouds move overhead, admiring how much of a nice day it was. "Emma!" I flinch as Star shouts my name from a little across the field, getting my attention fast enough to look at Ira as she runs towards me with a big grin. My eyes widen as she gets closer. I didn't have much reaction time to begin with, let alone once I realized she was about to tag me. I quickly ducked away from her hand, scrambling backwards too fast and landing on my butt. I quickly pushed myself up as she ran past me, smiling over her shoulder at me as I scrambled off the grass. I failed to push myself up the first time, so now I was just trying to gain a little distance, almost running on all fours as I attempted once again to push myself up, this time succeeding in getting just enough distance that Star would also be a target again. We both laughed and ran away from her until I tripped slightly, sliding on the grass to keep my balance and losing just enough speed that she tagged me. I stood there laughing, giving myself a second to catch my breath. In reality, I was actually just judging how much power to use, because I could run faster than both of them if I wanted to. I could push myself past the levels of pain that a regular human would experience with my healing magic helping me along the way. Or I could obviously play it safe and just keep up with them. I look at Star with an evil grin. She is the only one who can almost keep up with me when I'm running at full speed. Her eyes widen as she notices my smile and quickly starts running, thinking a head start would save her. Ira laughs as I start bolting off towards her. "Go, Emma!" Ira shouts, cheering me on as I slowly start catching up to Star. "Emma! No!" Star shouted, trying to counter Ira's chanting. She started laughing, almost nervously, yet still full of excitement as I was closing the distance between us faster and faster. Once again, I tripped, this time going too fast to catch myself, so I landed on my face, scraping up my hands on the grass. "Emma!" Ira yells, her voice full of concern, but I know Star only slowed down for one reason. This was nothing to me, and I planned on tagging her. I pushed myself up, ignoring Ira's worried voice as it filled the field, and I started chasing after Star again. Her laughter died down when I fell, showing she was worried about me, but once she saw me push myself back up, then she knew the game was still on. I heard Ira go quiet as Star started turning around near the end of the field, quickly catching me off guard and passing me, making both of us slide on the grass and stammer back to our feet to continue running. "Emma, come on, go easy on me. I ate more food than you," Star said, pausing slightly in between the sentences to find some sort of excuse for me to go easy on her, knowing it would take a good excuse for me to do so. "Emma!" she yells, noticing me getting much closer. I smiled, slowing down just slightly as I noticed Ira up ahead. Now my target wasn't Star, but instead I used the idea of focusing the chase on her, just for her to lead me closer to Ira. I couldn't hide the wide smile on my face as I ran, laughing along with Star and Ira once she saw Star so panicked. I quickly turned away from Star once the path to Ira would be the shortest. Wait, hold on a second," Ira said, panicked, as I ran towards her. She quickly started running away, but I had already so much more momentum than her, and she was pretty slow when she started running. I quickly catch up and gently tag her on her shoulder. "Oh, man," she said, slowing down beside me. I gently rub her head, laughing softly as I mess up her hair. "Go get Star now, she's running out of energy." I pat her back softly as she walks away from me. She quickly stopped and turned around, looking at me a little confused. "What's up?" I say, growing more confused as she just stares at me. "Your hands." I tilt my head. "When you fell, I thought you would have scraped up your hands. Are you okay?" "Oh, yeah, I'm fine." I felt a surge of fear flow through me as I breathed slowly and smiled at her. "I got tough skin. Now go get Star before she gets all of her energy back." I laugh, pushing her away. I smile as I watch her smile come back. She runs towards Star. I stand there watching slowly as the cloud passes over me, watching as they dodged and ran around the shadow that I let pass over me. It was a nice reason to just stand there and watch them play for a minute. I breathed out a slow, calm breath and watched as the clouds above me moved so elegantly through the sun's rays. "Hey, guys!" I yelled, looking back towards Star and Ira. They paused their chase and looked towards me. "I'm gonna eat more before I run out of time." "Okay," Star yells before quickly going back to chasing Ira. I felt my smile grow as I hear their laughter through the air. As I sat on the hill next to our lunch bags, I couldn't help but just sit there and watch everyone for a few minutes. Not just Star and Ira, but all the other kids. They were all just having a great time playing at the park or talking to the groups of friends they had. It made me miss our old friend group. There were 6 of us back then. Ava, Maddie, Cassie, Sierra, and then Star and I. I'm glad they still considered us friends after finding out why we had to leave. I rest my head on my arms as I snack on my sandwich. I wasn't very hungry, and running like that right after eating gave me a bit of a stomachache, but it was nice to be outside right now. I rest with the sun beaming down on my back. It was nice and warm, oddly natural, which made me shudder when the thought came, but I relaxed once again and shrugged off the thought. I looked at the kids in the field once again, an odd feeling to my eyes as I scanned the field. I assumed there were maybe 5 or 10 minutes left of our lunch break, as I saw some kids going towards the doors, but it was just then when I saw Clinton and Carl come outside. I stubbornly take another bite of my sandwich as an uneasy feeling fills my gut with hatred. I watched with confusion as I saw a few kids come out with them, yet held back as I watched them walk forwards, straight towards Star. I felt my breath hitch in my throat, a scream wanting to escape, but now blocked by the food caught in my throat. I watched in horror as I saw the gleam of a knife in his hands, an evil smile plastered on his and Carl's face. I reached forward with my tears blurring my vision, wanting to cry out to Star, but only coughing on the food. I angrily hit my chest and stood up, still coughing in pain with tears in my throat as I watched his slow walk turn into a jog, Carl now falling behind him as well with a smile. I started to run as fast as I could towards Star and Ira. They were oblivious to him. I felt my body surge as I saw his hand raise, his grip on the knife tightening, my legs already taking me as fast as I could go towards them, yet he was already much closer. I saw a few kids already staring at him, but my throat was still too weak and scratched up to scream. My attempt to yell Star's name met with a much weaker yell, one that didn't reach her ears, and nor my voice or me would reach her in time. Not unless I changed forms right here in front of everyone. But what the hell kind of sister would I be if I knew how to save her and didn't? I bit down on my tongue to ignore the pain that I willingly let surge through my blood, my magic bursting through my back as my wings formed quickly. I felt my tail steady myself as my wings burst outwards, my whole body prioritizing getting as close as I could, as fast as I could. But I could see everything the moment I transformed, the way people's eyes widened, a scream or two from some random students, the way Carl ran inside, yet most importantly, the way the smile grew on Clinton's face before he threw the knife, knowing he got what he wanted. The tears from choking on the food were replaced with tears of fear as Star and Ira looked towards me in equal amounts of horror. Fear of me, a pure-blooded demon running towards them. My darkened eyes full of tears, fear, and panic, yet still oblivious to the danger behind them. I choke out a cry, screaming with a crackly voice, "Starry, look out!" The desperation in my voice drew out in a cry as I reached my arm out, trying to just get a little bit closer, just close enough. I grabbed her arm tightly, throwing her behind me as I spun us, my other arm blocking my chest in a weak defense of my vital organs. And that knife swung towards me now, spinning in the air like a wheel before it plunged deep into my arm. I cried out, my wings unable to spin me fast enough to steady myself, and I quickly fell to the ground, rolling over my wings in pain as I felt the warmth of blood run down my arm. I heard gasps from people around us, and I didn't dare open my wings to see everyone staring at me, now knowing the rumors Clinton chanted were true. I flinch, my eyes widening quickly as I hear Star groan. I could see the glow of my eyes off my wings, pain shooting through my arm in pulses as I lay there. "Star!" Ira's voice rang out softly along the crowd of people who quickly started making noise. "Star, are you hurt? Get off me! Emma!" I hear Star grunt as she gets off the grass, the sound of her footsteps thudding behind me. "Ira, go inside and grab the medkit from the nurse's office." "No," I mumble, not wanting to get even more people involved. I choke on a cry as I push myself up, drawing my wings back to glare at Clinton just to see him smirk. I heard both Star and Ira gasp as I drew my wings back enough for them to see my arm. I open my mouth to speak, pain making me choke back tears as I stand up. "What the hell is wrong with you?" I yell, with tears now pouring down my face. "What's wrong with me?" Clinton laughs, motioning for the other students to look at me instead. "You're a demon, a hell-born monster trying to blend in with humans, and you ask what is wrong with me." I felt his cold glare towards me. It seemed so different from every other day. "You're probably sent here to kill someone, get nice and close to someone just to stab them in the back. Or maybe you're waiting for the right moment to kill us all." I glare at him, a fire burning in my soul, but attacking him now would only do more harm than good. "Emma?" I flinch as Ira speaks softly behind me. I turn to see her hiding almost behind Star. I bite down on my tongue and glare back at Clinton, my eyes glowing brightly and my jaw tight with anger. "He's wrong, Ira. I don't want to hurt anyone. I never wanted to hurt you, but you've only made it difficult for us since day one," I yell. "Oh, no, I've made it difficult for a monster to attend school." He laughs and mocks the tears running down my face. "I'm so sorry most of you were too blind to see that I was protecting you all this entire time. I'm not a monster!" I yell, choking back tears. "All I've ever wanted to do my entire life is to prove that." "Oh, I'm so sorry. You're just a demon." I grit my teeth, my tail flicking side to side behind me in anger that I was struggling to contain. "A demon who has tried her hardest to protect my sister from people like you. The real monsters. I have told you before that she is human, and yet in front of almost 200 kids, you tried to murder her. After another pulse of pain, I bite down on my tongue and force a flood of magic to my arm as I rip out the knife and toss it far from me. I take a second to breathe through the pain as my arm heals from the magic. A demon who swears on whatever god you believe in that I am doing all I can to be a good person. I felt a firelight under my palm as I rested my hand by my side. But for God's sakes, Clinton, you tried to kill her! And it finally showed the monster you are. Look at that flame, a weapon used by all Hellborn to send us innocent humans to hell. Do it, Emma. Send me to hell. Kill me. No! I screamed, closing my hand tightly. I don't want to, damn it! I felt tears drip down my face once again. He chuckles, and I see his stance widen, his fist tightening at his sides. Then I won't let another demon take me down. He spat, glaring at me. I was stunned as the words rang in my head. Another. I watched with my mind somewhere else as he ran towards me. My mind only snapped back once he was a few feet away from me with his shoulder drawn back. I open my wings and see a flash of fear in his eyes as I use them to dodge his punch, grabbing his arm and throwing him away from me. Emma! I flinch, my body tightening as I hear Star cry out. I cringe as I ignore her and glare at Clinton, who quickly stands back up with an evil smile. If you're gonna keep doing this, then tell me something, I yell, trying to stall the fight. Tell me why you tried to kill her. The taunting was fine, the bullying, the fights you cornered us into was the line that you passed so many times. So why, in front of damn near the entire school, why try and kill her? He just looked at me so coldly. Because your bloodline is a danger to all of humanity, and I know that she holds magic in her blood just like you. My eyes widen as I looked to Star, who only stared at Clinton in disbelief, like he knew so much more than both of us. But she's still just human, I say, defeated, quickly flinching when the school bell rings, but not a single other person moved a muscle. And you're a monster. Clinton's voice was low as I looked at Star. Before I could say anything, Star's eyes widened as she looked past me, screaming my name. Emma! Emma, look out! I quickly swung my head around to see Clinton with the knife that I threw in his hands. I didn't realize I had thrown him in the same direction, but now he was coming at me once again with the knife tight in his grip. Clinton, wait! I yell, stretching my wings out, my tail anxiously gripped around my leg, causing me to stumble backwards and fall. I could only watch in horror as he continued to run towards me. The gleam of the knife just for a second reflected my own terrified expression before I saw him on top of me. The knife plunged deep into my chest. I heard a Star and Iris scream, a blood-curdling, emotion-filled scream. With a surge of strength, I created a fireball between us, pushing him backwards with a blast of my fire. Albeit weak, it did push him far enough off of me for him to roll when he landed on the grass far from me. He laughed maniacally as he saw the knife fly from his hands and the blood cover my sweater. I heard muffled screaming through the beat of my heart through my ears. His laughter and the wind passing over me made my body cold. I grabbed my chest tightly, pain surging through me before I used the placement of my hand to focus my magic. The pause was unnecessary. It was not on purpose, obviously, but like, ugh, you know? The cut was a deep, gaping hole. The weight he put into the attack had broken my ribs, but at least my heart seemed almost unhurt. But it was so close, and I was already losing so much blood. I watched the clouds above me, the little bit of the world around me as I could. I feared moving my head. I flinched as I saw Star in my vision, her face angrier than I'd ever seen before. I saw Ira pull her back, a small thump right near me as they hit the ground from Ira pulling them both down. Don't do it! He could hurt you too! Ira said, staring ahead of them at Clinton, who was still laughing maniacally on the ground, staring at me as I struggled to breathe through the blood that was filling my lungs. My right side was pulsing, the sharp specks of bone making every pulse of blood and magic send a pain through my body. I need to protect her! I need to get to her! Star screamed as Ira held her down. He will kill you! Ira screamed back. I lay there, groaning slightly as I felt my magic heal the bone first, then my lungs, and then, as my chest still dripped blood through the grass, my magic started to weaken. I stood up, wanting to get the blood pumping again, trying to let my magic grow again. I felt my wings drop to my sides, my horns heavy on my head, weighing me down and causing my head to sway as I sat there. I looked at the blades of grass below me, tainted with the color of my blood, crumbling under the weight of the attacks. I turned my head to see Carl come bursting out of the doors of the school. The school nurse was at his side, as well as some of the more staff, and they just stood there in a mix of horror and fear as they looked between us. Go call the cops! One of the teachers screams. I watch as Carl runs over to Clinton, screaming his name. Even as he sat beside him, Clinton kept laughing, hysterics as he looked at me. I did it, he said, looking at Carl. I saved us! He looked back at me, continuing to laugh. I exposed this monster! He spat through laughter. I flinch as Star quickly fills my vision, my pulse getting too loud in my ears. I felt my face go pale, but as I saw her in front of me, safe and sound, I couldn't help but smile weakly at how safe she was. Like I did a good job. And then the world seemed to spin around me. Starine? I say, my voice full of much more panic than I would have liked. This really hurts, I say with a soft chuckle, both the deep, slowly healing wound in my chest and the swirling of the world around me caused a nauseous pit in my stomach. The next thing I know, I can feel the grass below me entwine with my hair. I felt the warmth of blood against the curve of my horns. It soaked into my hair. I couldn't open my eyes, but I could still feel the world spinning around me. I could barely hear stars screaming my name repeatedly beside me. I struggled to hold on to consciousness. I'm not sure if I was awake or not, but I could feel the pain surge through me as someone picked me up. I felt the protective hold around my wings, and there was a small peace in my mind as I recognized the softness of the hands. It was Star who was carrying me. I'm not too sure where she was taking me, but the commotion just got so much louder. I could hear sirens in the distance before most of the commotion died down and the soft closing of doors behind us. I only had enough energy or strength to tilt my head past the arms that were holding me to look out the doors behind us. And there he was, still laughing to himself with pride as he looked at the blood on his hands. I could still see him say the words, I protected everyone. I wake in my room with a tight bandage on my chest and an uncomfortable pain all over. Even while I was unconscious, or at least semi, I focused all I could on healing that hole in my chest. I could hear soft, repetitive movements across the room from me, and I tilted my head. I felt a sharp pain through my body and my horns hitting my pillow beside me, but at least I could see what it was now. I watched as Star stitched up my sweater. It was clean now, unlike hers. She was still wearing hers, and it was covered in my blood. It looked terrifying to see that much blood on her, but as I watched her sew with a weird, glossy look over her eyes, I could tell that her mind wasn't there. As I slowly breathed in, about to say her name as softly as I could to get her attention, I could now feel the bandages along my chest and arm. They were wrapped tightly, yet just loose enough that I could breathe. And as I breathed, I could feel a cold chill form the room, causing me to shiver. It made my wings uncomfortable as I lay there, and my tail was wrapped around my leg just as tight as the bandages were. Still dying, guys. Still dying. Okay. I looked back up at Star, who was sticking her tongue out now, struggling with a spot on the chest of my sweater. The thread just didn't want to grab, and the more she concentrated, the less that glossy look covered her eyes. Need help? I flinch as our mom's voice rings out from the doorframe. No, I got this. Star mumbled, focusing a bit harder. I turned to look at her mom, who had a bit of paperwork in her hands that she was working on. She looked more tired than usual, which would have been expected, but it still hurt to see her like this. "What's all that?" Star said, looking up at her mom, taking a small break from focusing so hard. I noticed her take a forced deep breath, trying to calm herself down after getting all worked up over sewing. "Paperwork from the school. Stuff saying that they're not responsible and for us to sign after reviewing the camera footage, blah, blah, blah. They want to know if you want to press charges against those boys." Star sat there silently, looking at her, almost shocked. "Oh." She pauses, silence falling upon the room. I continue to lay there silently. I knew what I wanted to say, but I didn't want them to know I was awake just yet. I close my eyes before they look over at me. "I think Emma should decide." "How's she doing?" Our mom's voice got quieter as both of their eyes fell on me. "Okay, I think." Star's voice was soft before I heard the repetitive movement of her sewing again. "She's strong. She's got this." "She's never been hurt this badly," our mom said worriedly. "I've never seen your dad hurt that badly." "Mom." There was a tense silence between them. "If it comes down to a vote, like, if Emma doesn't want to get involved with that paperwork stuff, I vote to sue them." I felt my body twitch. I understood her pain, but she sounded so cold about it. There was another pause. "I saw your tail twitch, Emma." I groan and sit up slowly. "Damn it," I mumble, resting my head on my arms, and my arms on my knees. "Well, I'm sure you've been awake long enough to hear most of this," Mom says softly. There was some power to her voice, like she knew what needed to be done, and if we did decide to sue them, she needed to do a lot more paperwork. "I don't know yet. Can we give it some time?" I say, softly looking up at her with pleading eyes. "We have some time, dear. You should take time to rest either way. Dinner will be done in about an hour," she says, turning out of the doorway and then down the hall. "Starine," I say softly, watching her sew again. "What happened after I passed out?" She sighs and puts her sewing stuff down, facing towards me and putting a pillow between herself and the wall for comfort. "A lot," she says, chuckling softly. "For starters, I brought you inside to the nurse's office and almost immediately got bombarded by police asking way too many questions. Thankfully, they let me stay with you and make sure you were healing well after I explained what you were to them and the doctors that came in. They were hesitant to come near you anyway." I groan and stretch my wings out before making them disappear. "How lovely," I mutter, making my horns and tail also disappear. "Afterwards, we brought you home." I tilt my head at her, questioning the "we." "Ira and I. I carried you and Ira kept me company, worried like hell about you and asking maybe 100 times if you were gonna make it." It almost made me smile to hear how she was worried if I was going to make it or not. I mean, she wasn't the only person either. Maybe half the school came running out once they saw me carrying you home. Dozens of people asking if you were okay. A smile grew on my face, a soft redness coming to my cheeks and tears coming to my eyes. "And what about Clinton and Carl?" "Both were very quickly escorted away from the school. Don't know and don't care where they went." She smiled a little, but it faded once she noticed me staring out the window. "Don't tell me you feel sorry for them. They almost killed you." "Yeah, I know," I mumbled, looking back down at my bedsheets. But what?" The thoughts of Clinton saying, "another demon," kept ringing through my head. Never mind, I mumble, laying back down and turning towards the wall. Star sighed softly behind me. Rest up, Emma. Then, after dinner, we can get some ice cream if you're feeling okay enough to go for a walk. Yeah. I sat there, picking at my food at the dinner table. There was something my mom wanted to say for the whole half an hour. I could tell that much, but she hadn't said a word, and it was killing me slowly. Mom, I say finally, putting my utensils down gently on the plate as I look across the table at her. What's on your mind? Well, she says slowly, softly putting her stuff down as well. Star looked at her with sad eyes like she already knew. We don't have the money to move again right now, and I'm worried for your guys' future here if we stay. I don't want to move anyway, I mumble, not wanting to deal with this all over again. It would probably be better to recover from it than start all over again. It's already proved to be a cycle when it comes to new schools. Yeah, and we've made some good friends again. We'd have to move so far away if we wanted to ditch all this, and then we wouldn't be able to visit the others in the old town, Star said, almost begging our mom to stay. If that's what you two want, then okay. But I might have to start getting you guys to help me with paperwork if this continues. I can do that, I say softly. It hopefully won't be a problem again anyway. All right, then. We sat in comfortable silence for the rest of dinner. I kept picking up the food on my plate and watching the clouds and the sky.